Lauren Sanchez Bezos is in full celebration mode, and this time the spotlight is not on a rocket launch, a luxury yacht, or a red carpet appearance. This time, the focus is on something quieter, more personal, and far more revealing. Her husband, Jeff Bezos, one of the most powerful men in the world. A man whose name is tied to innovation, controversy, wealth, ambition, and transformation. And yet, on his birthday, Lauren Sanchez chose to honor him not with excess, but with an image that whispered instead of shouted. The post appeared briefly, as Instagram stories always do, designed to vanish within 24 hours. But as with everything connected to Jeff Bezos, nothing truly disappears. Screenshots were taken. Headlines were written. And once again, the world leaned in, not to see what was said, but to interpret what was shown. The image was black and white, a deliberate choice. Jeff Bezos sat with his arms crossed. A wide-brimmed hat rested on his head. Dark sunglasses covered his eyes. He looked off into the distance, not at the camera, not at the audience, not even at Lauren. The moment felt paused in time. Thoughtful. Self-assured. Almost cinematic. Like a frame from an old Hollywood film where the leading man is defined not by dialogue, but by presence. This was not an accident. Nothing about this image was accidental. Lauren Sanchez Bezos understands imagery. She has spent decades in front of cameras. As a journalist. As a television personality. As a pilot. As a public figure who knows that the right image can say more than 1,000 carefully chosen words. And in this moment, she was not just celebrating a birthday. She was reinforcing a narrative. Because Jeff Bezos is no longer just the Amazon founder. He is no longer just the billionaire businessman who reshaped global commerce. He is now a symbol of reinvention, of power reclaimed, of a man who stepped away from his empire's daily grind and reintroduced himself to the world on his own terms. And Lauren Sanchez Bezos has been right beside him for every step of that transformation. To understand why this single photo carries such weight, you have to understand what Jeff Bezos represents in the modern cultural imagination. For years, he was known as the quiet executive, the man behind the desk, the billionaire who wore simple shirts, spoke carefully, and seemed emotionally distant. He was respected, feared, criticized, and analyzed, but rarely admired in a personal sense. Then, everything changed. The divorce from Mackenzie Scott marked a turning point. It was not just a personal separation. It was a cultural event. Headlines exploded. Net worth calculations dominated the news. And suddenly, Jeff Bezos was no longer just a business figure. He was a human story unfolding in public view. And then came Lauren Sanchez. Their relationship entered the public eye under intense scrutiny.
Jeff Bezos
Tabloids framed it as scandal.
No one saw coming.
Commentators
and
questioned
Sanchez
timelines.
Was the first to feel it
Critics judged appearances.
Posts and whispers
and
of
through it all,
rumors.
Jeff Bezos began to change visibly. He appeared more confident, more expressive,
calculated,
more physically transformed,
this is the man
and more
who
willing
built
to step
Amazon
into the
and rewrote
spotlight.
The rules of power.
Lauren Sanchez was
And now
not
he is
just his
rewriting
partner.
the rules of his
She
marriage.
became part of his
Is this
rebranding.
payback for the
This is why a simple
or just the
birthday
beginning
post
of something
matters.
even bigger?
Because when Lauren
One thing
Sanchez
is
Bezos
certain.
posts a
Lauren
photo
never
of
saw it
Jeff
coming.
Bezos gazing into the distance, arms crossed, hat low, sunglasses shielding his eyes, she is not just saying, "Happy birthday." She is saying, this is who he is now. Calm, grounded, powerful, untouchable. The black and white filter removes distraction. It strips away color, excess, noise. What remains is form and intention. Strength without aggression. Confidence without explanation. A man comfortable with silence. For an audience accustomed to seeing Jeff Bezos through numbers, lawsuits, and corporate headlines, this image offers something different. It humanizes him while still maintaining distance. It invites curiosity without revealing vulnerability. And that balance is intentional. Lauren Sanchez has mastered the art of controlled intimacy. She shares just enough to feel personal, but never enough to feel exposed. Her public affection is warm, but measured. Romantic, but strategic. This birthday tribute fits perfectly into that pattern. It also signals unity, because public relationships at this level are never just about two people. They are about perception, stability, and influence. When Lauren Sanchez celebrates Jeff Bezos publicly, she is reinforcing the image of a solid partnership, a couple aligned in vision, a relationship that has survived scrutiny and emerged stronger. And yet, beneath the polished surface, questions always linger. Hollywood, after all, thrives on subtext. Observers have long debated how much of Jeff Bezos' transformation is personal growth and how much is strategic evolution. His move away from Amazon's daily operations, his increased focus on Blue Origin, his appearances at high-profile events, his physical transformation, his more relaxed, almost playful public demeanor. Some see it as liberation, others see it as reinvention. Lauren Sanchez, with her media savvy and confident presence, fits seamlessly into this new chapter. She brings glamour, storytelling, and emotional accessibility. She understands how narratives are built, sustained, and protected. This is why a single Instagram story becomes a cultural moment, because it reflects not just affection but alignment. The choice of black and white also evokes nostalgia. It suggests timelessness, as if Jeff Bezos is not just a man of this era, but a figure meant to endure beyond trends and cycles. It subtly positions him within a lineage of powerful men who are remembered not for what they said, but for how they were seen. And the fact that he is gazing away from the camera matters. It suggests vision, forward thinking, focus on the horizon rather than the audience. This is a man looking ahead, not back. A man who has already lived several lives and is preparing for the next. Lauren Sanchez did not need to write a long caption. She did not need grand declarations. The image did the work, and the world noticed. Entertainment outlets quickly picked up the story. Fans reacted with admiration. Critics read between the lines. And once again, Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez demonstrated their ability to command attention without demanding it. This is the modern power couple strategy. Not loud, not defensive, not reactive, measured, curated, intentional. But behind the image lies a deeper truth about how public figures manage love in the age of constant visibility. Every post is a statement. Every absence is interpreted. Every image is dissected. Lauren Sanchez understands this better than most. Her journey from local news anchor to global public figure has taught her that perception is currency. And in celebrating Jeff Bezos this way, she spends that currency wisely. She offers romance without vulnerability, intimacy without exposure, celebration without spectacle. And Jeff Bezos, seated calmly in that photograph, appears perfectly at ease with the role he now plays. Not just as a billionaire, not just as a founder, but as a man whose personal life is now inseparable from his public identity. In Hollywood, power is often loud. In Silicon Valley, it is often hidden. Jeff Bezos exists somewhere in between. And Lauren Sanchez stands beside him, shaping how that power is understood. So when we look at that black and white image, we are not just seeing a birthday tribute. We are seeing a carefully crafted chapter in an ongoing story about reinvention, influence, and control. A story where love is real, but also symbolic. Where celebration is sincere, but also strategic. And where silence speaks louder than words. In a world obsessed with oversharing, Lauren Sanchez chose restraint. And in doing so, she reminded everyone watching that sometimes the most powerful message is the one that lets the image speak. Because in Hollywood, and in life, what you choose not to say often reveals more than what you do. And Jeff Bezos, captured in that quiet moment, appears to understand that better than ever. Lauren Sanchez Bezos did not write a long caption. Sun comes into view. She did not explain herself. She did not defend her love or justify her choices. They're stepping into the next one with something she added a single sentence across the image. Control. Quiet but emotionally loaded. And in the a sentence that felt more intimate than public, yet was shared with millions of strangers. Final victory. Happy birthday, baby, I love you beyond words. It is simply a red heart followed. Simple. Direct. Unfiltered. And in its simplicity, powerful. Because when words are few, intention becomes louder. In an era where celebrity relationships are often performed through excess, long essays, dramatic declarations, and carefully staged vulnerability, Lauren Sanchez chose restraint. And that restraint is exactly what made the message resonate. It felt personal, not performative. Like something meant for one person, even though the world was watching. The phrase "beyond words" mattered. It suggested depth without explanation. It implied a connection that does not need to be translated for public approval. And in doing so, it subtly pushed back against years of speculation, criticism, and quiet judgment that have followed this relationship from the beginning. Because Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez have never existed in a neutral space. Their love story has unfolded under a microscope. It began in whispers and headlines. It survived public scrutiny, leaked messages, and endless commentary. And through it all, they chose to keep moving forward, not loudly, but deliberately. This birthday message was not about proving anything. It was about claiming something. And then there was the music. The song choice played softly over the image, adding emotional texture without overwhelming the moment. Lauren Sanchez selected "Man I Need" by Olivia Dean. She did not quote lyrics. She did not explain why she chose it. She let the title and tone do the talking. Music, especially in social media storytelling, is never random. It sets mood. It guides emotion. It fills the silence between what is shown and what is felt. In this case, the song choice leaned into warmth, connection, and quiet assurance. It was not dramatic.
This was not excess.
It was not flashy.
This was comfort.
It did not scream
Comfort
romance
in public life.
Instead,
Comfort in
it hummed
scrutiny.
gently beneath
Comfort
the
in a
image,
role that has been
reinforcing
fully
the
accepted.
idea of emotional
Nearby,
certainty
the
rather
presence
than
of Jeff
passion
Bezos
on
was
display.
steady and
For
composed.
viewers, it
There
felt
was no
intentional,
performance, no need
mature,
for it.
grounded.
His posture
This was
reflected
not the
something
sound
learned
of
over time.
infatuation.
That power
It was the
does not
sound of
need to announce
partnership
itself.
And that
It
distinction
simply
matters,
exists.
especially
Around
when
them,
discussing a
friends
couple whose
mingle.
relationship
Security
has often been
remained alert
framed
but
as
unobtrusive.
controversial.
An environment
Lauren
held a
Sanchez
balance
understands
between
how narratives are
celebration
shaped
and control.
As a former journalist,
Anchored not far
she
away
knows
was
how
Peru,
small details
the
become
mega yacht that
headlines.
has become an
As a public
unmistakable
figure,
extension of
she
the
knows how
couple's shared
symbolism is
identity.
read. And
Spotted
as
once
Jeff
again in the
Bezos'
waters
wife,
surrounding
she
St. Bart's.
understands that
The
every
vessel
post,
is more than a
no matter
luxury
how
item.
brief,
It is a
becomes part
statement
of a
of
much
permanence.
larger story.
At an
This
estimated value
Instagram
reaching
story
into the
was
hundreds of
not just a
millions,
birthday
Peru
greeting.
represents
It was
not
a
just
carefully
wealth,
balanced
but
moment of
arrival.
softness
The
in a
kind of
life
arrival that
often
no longer
associated with
seeks
power,
approval or
ambition,
explanation.
and control.
St. Bart's
Jeff
itself plays a
Bezos,
quiet
one
but
of the
crucial
wealthiest
role in
men
the
on the
story.
planet,
For
has spent
years,
decades being
the island has
discussed in
served as
terms
a
of
retreat
numbers,
for global
market
elites who
share, net worth, stock prices, corporate decisions, lawsuits, influence, rarely emotion. And yet, here he was, framed not as a titan of industry, but as a man being loved. Quietly, simply, without explanation. That contrast is striking. Because
others,
power,
it was a
when
reminder
paired
of
with
how far
tenderness,
this story has
changes how
traveled.
it is perceived.
Because Jeff
Lauren
Bezos was
Sanchez's
once known
message
almost
softened the
exclusively
image
as
without
the
weakening
quiet
it.
founder of Amazon,
It humanized Jeff
a man
Bezos
associated
without
more
stripping
with
him of
logistics
authority
than lifestyle.
It suggested
For
that behind the
years,
business
he
headlines
existed
and
in the
billionaire
background of
mythology is a
American
relationship
wealth.
built on something
Powerful
real,
but private.
or at least
Influential
something
but
deeply
restrained.
believed by the people
His
inside
personal
it.
life rarely
And
made
belief in
headlines,
Hollywood
and when
and
it
high
did, it was
society
usually
is
in
everything.
passing.
The
Lauren
red heart
Sanchez
emoji,
came from a different
often
world.
dismissed as
Media,
casual or
television,
generic,
aviation,
carried weight
and
here.
Los Angeles
It was the
social
only
circles
color
shaped
against
her
the black
career.
and white image.
She was visible,
a subtle
confident,
visual anchor,
accustomed
a
to being
reminder that
seen.
emotion
Their
still
worlds,
exists within the
at first
carefully
glance,
curated world
seemed
of
parallel
public life.
but separate.
One heart,
And yet,
no
when
excess.
those worlds collided,
Again,
the
restraint.
result was not
This
subtle.
is where Lauren
Their
Sanchez
relationship
differs from
emerged
many
into
public
public view
figures.
amid one of the
She
most
does not
widely
over-explain.
discussed personal
She does
upheavals
not
in modern
overshare.
billionaire history.
She offers glimpses,
A marriage
not
ended.
access.
Headlines
and those
multiplied.
glimpses are enough
Private
to keep the
messages
public
became
curious,
public discussion.
without feeling
The
invited
media
to judge.
cycle turned
but
relentless.
judgment comes
And
anyway.
for a moment,
because
it
whenever
seemed as
Jeff
though
Bezos appears happy,
a man
the
who
internet
built an
reacts.
empire on
Some
precision
admire
and
the
control,
transformation.
had lost
Some
control
criticize
of the
it.
narrative.
Some
But
question
something unexpected
authenticity.
happened.
Others see
Instead of
reinvention.
retreating, Bezos
And a few
leaned
see
forward.
vulnerability disguised
silence.
as strength.
There was visibility.
Lauren Sanchez
The couple
is aware of
appeared
this.
together.
Her message
Confident,
did not address
unhidden,
critics. It did not
unapologetic.
acknowledge
What could have
controversy.
been a reputational
It did not
collapse
reference the
slowly
past.
transformed
It
into a
existed
reinvention.
firmly in the
That
present moment.
reinvention was not
a birthday,
just personal.
a feeling,
It was strategic.
a connection.
The mega yacht
in doing
Peru,
so, it
valued at
refused
an
to participate
estimated
in the
$500
noise.
million,
That
became
refusal
more
is
than a vessel.
powerful.
It
In
became
Hollywood
a
expose culture, silence is often louder than defense. And this moment was a masterclass in saying just enough. The song choice reinforced that message. Music has always been a tool of emotional storytelling, especially in celebrity culture. A song can say what words cannot, without ever being quoted. And by choosing a track that speaks to emotional need and connection without being dramatic, Lauren Sanchez framed her love as grounded rather than performative. It told the audience, this is not about spectacle. This is about companionship. And that framing matters, because Jeff Bezos' public evolution has been dramatic. From the reserved executive to the more relaxed, confident figure we see today, his transformation has fueled endless commentary. Some see it as personal growth. Others see image management. Some see love. Others see branding. Lauren Sanchez's post did not try to settle that debate. It simply existed alongside it. And that is what made it effective. In the world of billionaires and celebrities, where every move is analyzed, the most radical act can be sincerity, without explanation. A message that does not ask for validation. A moment that does not invite interpretation, even though interpretation is inevitable. This birthday tribute was not loud. It was not elaborate. It did not dominate the news cycle through shock. Instead, it lingered, quietly, the way meaningful things often do. And for Jeff Bezos, a man who has spent a lifetime building systems, empires, and legacies, being seen through the lens of affection rather than ambition may be the most personal rebrand of all. Lauren Sanchez did not just say, "Happy birthday." She said, "I see you. I choose you. I stand with you." Beyond words. And in a world that never stops talking about Jeff Bezos, that might be the most powerful message she could have shared.